Hi, good evening. My name is Melinda Arcadia. I'm currently located in Worcester, Massachusetts. Um, this is going to be technically my end of first year and a half of my health education in behavioral program. It's the ending of my first year here at the University of Florida, but I previously had a semester at Kent State in public health, and I transferred over last fall. And for my Encyclopedia Project, I chose ectopic pregnancies. Um, I selected this project because it was actually something that I had known a little bit about, but I never actually had the time in my academic career where I could actually just really focus on it. And it was always a topic of interest for me, because I know it's a pretty hot button issue when it comes to talking about abortions and medically necessary abortions. And so I just kind of wanted to learn more about what it is it preventative, what causes it, just because I had heard it on the news, I had heard it in passing, about women almost dying because they've had to go to different states because they had an ectopic pregnancy and couldn't get an abortion. And I was like, what is I want to know more. So 3 things that I learned while researching and developing my project is I learned, unfortunately, there are things that can kind of cause it, but mostly ectopic pregnancies just kind of happen. And if it happens once, it can happen again. And you have a really high chance of it. And there are things that can cause it, like genetics, or if there's something wrong with egg development, or if you're older, or you're a smoker. There are things that you can do to kind of prevent it, but a lot of the times it just happens. And it's I think that was kind of the scariest thing that I learned, is that just ectopic pregnancies can happen. They can happen to anyone. And then once they happen, you have to terminate immediately, because if not, you could die. Um, and that brings me on to the second part, is that it's so hard to diagnose someone with an ectopic pregnancy, is because the signs and symptoms of it are so close to other things that can happen while you're pregnant. It's dizziness, fainting, abdominal lower back pain, spotting. So it's things that occur during the first trimester of pregnancy that are common, that can also mimic a miscarriage, and or just other things that kind of just can happen during normal pregnancy. And then it can just quickly devolve so fast into, oh my gosh, you have an ectopic pregnancy, we have to get you into emergency surgery and literally take out part of your one of your tubes. And I think that was just very interesting, and it was very scary when I was kind of researching this and going through it. It was so scary because it all I could think about was these women are on such a time crunch, and they are constantly just okay, I have to advocate for my own health, something is wrong. And if someone misses it, that's it. You could die. You could have internal bleeding. One of your tubes could burst and you could literally bleed to death. And there's nothing that could be done. The things that I thought were the last thing that I learned that I thought was really interesting, was the way that you can terminate the pregnancy. I actually wasn't aware that you can use a chemotherapy drug. I couldn't think of the name off the top of my head. But you can actually use it's methotrexate. Uh, you can use that, and I didn't realize that that was a chemotherapy drug that could be used to also, be used to terminate the pregnancy when you find an ectopic pregnancy, like really early if you're very lucky, and then it helps the body reabsorb it. And it had clicked to me because I had actually, I'll be honest, I was on TikTok and I saw someone who said their immunosuppressant drug had been no longer covered under their insurance because of their state, because it can cause miscarriages. And I was just like, that's so weird. And I didn't realize that methotrexate is a kind of chemotherapy, but it's also immunosuppressant. So some people who have like fibromyalgia or other immunodiseases will take that, but it is also used to help the body reabsorb the fetus. So I thought that was the embryo, I'm sorry. So I thought that that was really interesting. I also didn't realize that there were 2 different kinds of surgeries that can be done when you have an ectopic pregnancy. So if it's early, you can actually have the egg removed from the tube. And then they said that there are risks with that because if you've had one ectopic pregnancy, you have a really high chance of having another one. But unfortunately, because it's so hard to diagnose, a lot of women will actually end up having a selenectomy. Sorry, I can't, it's not something that rolls off the tip of the tongue. But it's where they actually remove the entire tube of the entire fallopian tube. And so, and then just kind of like a wrap up for my presentation. I really wanted to learn more about this topic because it's something that can't really be prevented, and it happens, and there's so many things that can happen during pregnancy that are just out of our control, and this is a life or death situation. And with current political events, with abortions being banned after a certain amount of weeks, like, there are women out there who might die because they have an ectopic pregnancy, and ectopic pregnancies are never viable pregnancies. These are never, these can never develop and be and become children and be born. And so it's just, these women are being forced to advocate for themselves and then possibly have to be denied treatment when they have an ectopic pregnancy, and they could die. And so it just, it's a very prevalent women's health issue right now of just, it's one of the many things that can go wrong during pregnancy. And now it's on the chopping block for a debate of whether or not it should be allowed or not, which is absolutely insane because the only thing that can be done is to terminate the egg, because it's not a viable pregnancy. And so it's insane. Just having to read the stories of women who've had ectopic pregnancies, who's had to flee to different states, because I did a lot of that while doing this research project. So it was just a very prevalent women's health issue, and I'm really glad that I took the time to set aside time and actually dedicate time to work through this. And I hope you enjoy my slideshow. It's really important, and going forward, it's really important to advocate for medically necessary rights. All right, I look forward to seeing someone else's slideshow. Have a good night. Bye-bye.